Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Hot Rods by Doug. And this video is going to be a little different than some of the other videos I've put out. We don't really have nothing to work on in this video. I just kind of wanted to sit down and make a video about myself and about kind of where I started and how I got into cars a little bit, and some of the cars that I have worked on or that I've built over the last few years before I've tried making a YouTube channel. So in this video, we're going to do a little talking about me and where the Hot Rods by Doug came from. We're also going to give you guys a little update on what's coming up for next year and some of the things I have planned. That'll probably be later on towards the end of the video. So you guys want to stick around and watch that to see where we're going to be going, what we're going to be doing, and some of the other projects I have coming up this summer. So I guess where it all started for me was when I was a kid. You know, the typical story of my dad took me to a bunch of car shows, and we would travel down to Pigeon Forge and go to see some of the street rod shows and some of the truck shows. So that's really where it started for me, was going down to Tennessee and Kentucky and here in Ohio to some of the car shows and the truck shows. And I remember one show that we would always go to would be the Street Rod Show in Knoxville, Tennessee. And that same weekend, they would have the All Chevy and GMC Truck Show in Pigeon Forge. So the whole weekend was packed full of cars, you know, one show here, one show there. And it was a double whammy for the whole weekend. And that's probably where I started picking up more on the trucks than I did the hot rods. I mean, I always liked hot rods. You know, my dad, he owns a few hot rods, and he has since we were kids. And I always thought that one day I was going to have hot rods. And when I started driving, you know, my first car was a Camaro, and it wasn't nothing like I thought it was going to be. I enjoyed it a lot, but I remembered when I was a kid, I would see the trucks at the All Chevy and GMC Truck Show just slammed on the ground, and the big wheels, well, they looked big back then. They're not as big as they are today, but just seeing the different trucks lowered and slammed on the ground was a big eye catch to me. And I just thought, man, one day I really want to have one of those. I had my first car, which was a Camaro, and then my second car was a 94 S10 SS. It was the first year for the round body style S10s, and I had that for a couple years. And then I got my first bag truck at the age of 17 or 18, and it was already bagged. It wasn't nothing special. It was a little white single cab 94 S10 4-cylinder 5-speed with a tonneau cover, or no, not a tonneau cover, a snug top with a walk-through. The back of the cab and the back of the bed was all cut out. So that was my first slam truck, and I just thought it was awesome. You know, we ended up driving it down to the All Chevy and GMC Truck Show when they moved it from Pigeon Forge to Maggie's Valley. And, you know, it went all the way there, made it all the way back. It was just a fun experience. But as I was going through high school and getting ready to graduate high school, you know, all my friends were into tuner cars. So I started getting away from the trucks and getting more into the tuner cars. So, you know, I ended up trading the S10 for a CRX, and had a body kit and wing and loud fart cans, and, you know, staying out late at night with my friends running around town, just causing chaos, you know, as most teenagers do. So I did that for quite a long time, and then I actually ended up getting into some trouble around my 21st birthday. I ended up starting to get back towards the trucks. I was getting out of the tuner scene. It just wasn't for me. I really missed having a bag truck. I missed being low. And I traded the CRX for a truck. And some people may know and some people may not know, but we went out one day and we made a video of it dragging the ground. And we ended up catching a ditch on fire, which caught a field on fire. And we had to call the fire department. That put out this huge fire. And I ended up getting into quite a bit of trouble over that. I'm sure some of the people on the old forums on like Dayton Mini Truckers or Ohio Mini Truckers remembers that video, or maybe remembers that truck. But that was my truck. It was me and my group of friends. We went out, dragged the crap out of it, caught the whole field on fire, and then, you know, ended up getting in a lot of trouble. I had to pay some money back. So after that truck, I started building what eventually became the crew cab. It was just a extended cab S10 with shaved extended cab windows. And after that, you know, I drove it like that for a little while, for a year or so. And then I seen a 4-door S10 and I thought, man, I would love to turn this into a 4-door. And some of my friends were like, oh, it'll never be done. You'll never do it, you know, and I was set out to prove them wrong. And that's exactly what we did. I spent the next 7 months cutting the truck in half, finding a crew cab and fitting it, and then making it out to Slamology in 2011. And we put the truck together and we jumped in it and made the 2.5-hour drive over to Indianapolis from here in Ohio. And we didn't even make it to the first town. We made it 5 or 10 miles, and you know, it had porta walls in it, you know, fake white walls. 2 of them blew off. The gas tank was leaking gas, and you know, it was a big chaos. But we just kept going, and we made the trip over there and had a blast. And you know, after that weekend, every winter we would bring that truck back in, strip it all down, do something else to it, and it finally became what I wanted it to become. You know, we had billet wheels and graphic paint, and you know, and it was a driver. If anybody knows me and knows the things I build are meant to drive. You know, I have put stuff on trailers and I have trailered stuff before, but most of my stuff always drove. The S10 always drove. And I even built a little camper to go with it because, you know, hotel prices are getting even more crazier than it was then. So I would take my little camper with me and I'd set it up for the weekend at a campground, and then I'd be able to have my own space to sleep. And the S10 had a 6-cylinder in it, so it pulled it just fine. I never had any problems pulling it. So that was a truck to remember. It's still around. It's down in Tampa, Florida, and you know, we talked about buying it back, and it's not off the table, but it's just not feasible right now. So I don't know if we'll ever get that truck back, but it would be cool to go down and pick it up and bring it back and revamp it, or just bring it back up to what it was, because after I sold it, it changed hands a couple times, ended up going through a hurricane, and a garage door fell on it and beat the crap out of it. And the guy who has it now has been trying to slowly bring it back to life. So it would be cool to go get that and bring that home. So after the S10, you know, I sold the S10 to start another build. I had the S10 for 8 years, and I finally decided I was going to build something else. So I got on the old Facebook Marketplace and started searching, and I found this C10 down in just outside of Sevierville, Tennessee. And I thought the price was right. You know, it had a good body on it. Well, I mean, it was a little rusty, but had good floors in it. It ran. The guy said it had a knock, which we ended up yanking that out. But we went down, we bought the truck, and we came home, and I stripped it down to nothing but a bare frame. And we started from the ground up. You know, I got a hold of GSI, and I bought a GSI front kit for it. And I had Thorback C-notches for a 65 C10 that I bought a couple years ago, just laying around. So I just made everything for the back, you know, tubular trailing arms, panhard bar. So I just made everything for the rear myself because it was cheaper than buying the rear GSI kit or buying somebody else's kit. So we did that. We ended up putting a crate motor in it because the motor that came with the truck was knocking. Put a 700 R4 behind it, you know, the whole 9 yards. The truck turned out perfect. It couldn't be any more perfect. The patina was perfect. The wheel color was perfect. It ran great. You know, we drove it up and down to Kentucky and Tennessee and back, and we had a blast with the truck. But like most things, all good times must come to an end. And I had the truck for a couple years, and I decided that I was going to sell it and try to pay off some debt and get out of that whole thing. So I sold it, which was a hard thing to do, about as hard as it was having the S10, and I had the S10 a lot longer. But then my plan was to just try to pay down quite a bit of debt and get out of that and go on from there and then start building something else. But I didn't really know what I wanted to build. And then I was just, like most guys, we just start surfing through, you know, Facebook Marketplace and looking for stuff to do, or just seeing what's out there for sale. And we come across a 32 Ford Roadster project. It was a fiberglass body with a rolling chassis, and I was like, hey, that's my favorite car. I want to do it. This is the time to do it. You know, this is before I got married. This is before I had kids. I was like, I want to do this. So I bought it, went and picked it up, and the same thing. We stripped it down to nothing, started from nothing, worked really hard on getting it where I wanted. You know, we put a 327 in it, $700 R4 transmission, got it painted. Never did the interior, never got the interior done, but we did get the rest of it done. And then it was just about done in 2020 and COVID hit, and every show just kept getting canceled, But I just did not care. I literally did not care. I got in that car and drove it every day that the sun was shining. And sometimes I even got caught out in the rain with no top on. It would get poured on, and it still was an amazing time. I had a blast in that car. That was probably the most fun I've had in a car since I started getting into the whole truck thing. So the 32 was one of my favorite vehicles of all times. And while doing the 32, I started buying Hawaiian shirts because I feel, and some other people feel, like I look like a young Boyd Coddington. And that's where the whole Hot Rods by Doug thing started, because I started buying Hawaiian shirts. I had a 32 Roadster. I was doing hot rod and street rod stuff, but I was still going to mini truck shows with it, because who doesn't like a 32 Ford Roadster? So I did that for a while, and then at the end of 2020, I sold the car. Again, the whole purpose to try to get out of some debt, to try to be in a better place with my finances. And so it got sold, and I haven't really built nothing yet. I've bought this, I've bought that. I had a dually. I've had a couple dualies, and I missed the one. I don't miss the other one so much, but I do miss my last dually because it was almost perfect. It was just lowered, Beltec suspension, and we just used it to drive around, and it just looked cool. So, but now we got the Suburban, and I plan to do some stuff to the Suburban. I've been stockpiling some parts that we're going to do here soon before spring gets here. We're going to try to lower it, and I'm hoping to pick up a set of wheels here real soon. And I do have some, I have a Corvette roll pan I want to put on it, shave the taillights, and eventually repaint it and drop it and do a nice like 90s style street truck or sport truck look to it. And then that's going to be it for it. We're not going to do too crazy with it, because I do have some other projects on my mind that I would like to build that are a little more old school than new school. I don't want to do super huge wheels, but I do plan to buy something and bag it and body drop it. I've never body dropped something, so I plan to do something bodied here in the next year or two. I also have some friends that have been hitting me up that want some work done or want me to put something together for them, because they know I'm known for reliability. As far as when I build something, I build it to be driven and to last. The S10, I would fly to Florida today. I would jump in that truck and drive it all the way home. And I think it's close to 1,000 miles from Tampa to here in Sydney, Ohio. So I would drive in it without blinking an eye and being like, yeah, it should do it just fine. You know, I drove that truck all over the place. I drove the C10 all over the place. The guy who owns the C10 now would text me and tell me that that's one of the best riding trucks he's ever had. You know, he can't believe how he can just jump in it and go, and there's no mechanical issues. Like I said, my biggest thing is reliability, drivability. If you can't drive it, there's no point of enjoying it. There's no point of having it. I watch these people build cars that get thrown on trailers, and that's all fine and dandy, but you got to get out. You got to put some miles on it. Put some rock chips on the front of it. Yes, they cost a fortune to paint. Who cares? Get out and enjoy it. So we do have some more projects coming. You know, I came from mini trucks to hot rods to C10s, you know, but I really want to build another mini truck or something on air ride. You know, the Impala's not mine, it's my dad's, but it used to be my grandpa's, and I'm sure it'll just keep getting passed down. And I appreciate him letting me put some money into it and do the things I want to it. But for myself, I have an idea of another mini truck I would like to build, because I still am a mini trucker at heart. I just love hot rods, and I love all sorts of vehicles. I like diesel stuff, you know, I like LS stuff. I like everything other than tuners. So you definitely can see a mini truck build coming up on this channel, along with, you know, a 32 build eventually. So I just want to do some quick updates. Coming up next year, we are only probably going to go to, you know, a handful of shows. My wife is pregnant, and she is due anytime. So we are about to welcome my son here into the world. So she's going to need a lot of help with him this year. I'm not going to have a lot of time to go to the shows that I want to go to, but we still are going to take you guys to some shows. So we're going to start off with Spring Rod Run, which is April 13th through the 16th. And then halfway through the summer, we'll be going to Summer Nights Cruise, which is July 21st through the 23rd. And then we will end it off back in Pigeon Forge for the Fall Rod Run, September 14th through the 17th. And then that will probably wrap it up again for another show season. You never know. We might hit some shows here and there that are close by. But for the most part, you know, I plan on doing some building. I plan on working on some stuff, hitting some shows, and then just trying to enjoy some time with my family this year. So I do appreciate everyone that comes to watch the videos. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, because the things I have in my head that I'm going to bring to this channel hopefully will interest a lot of people. So keep liking, share it to your friends, share it to your family, share it to your neighbor, your ex-girlfriend, your current girlfriend, your last boyfriend, your cousin's boyfriend. I don't care who you share it to. Share it to somebody. Let's make this channel grow, because the more it grows, the more I can put out videos, and this could turn into something great. I appreciate everybody, and we'll catch you guys in the next video. See you, everyone.